Elementals in Drakerys are very important. You always need them because they give buffs here and there, which is quite practical. Today we will do a little O2 on the painting of a water elemental. First off, because elementals are very easy and accessible, and second, because they are quite fast as well. They come in pre-assembled as well, which is quite a strong point. We tried and the paint latches very easily to the plastic. First, we will use blue as it is a water elemental, so it's the first logical step. I'm not being too careful, I'm using quite a big brush. The goal is to coat the whole mini there. What is very practical is that it's a monochromatic color with only blue, uh, which really speeds up the process. It's also quite a good miniature to introduce children to painting. This is the kind of mini that let them have fun without having to think too much about the base colors. The base color here is Prince August, intense sky blue. The pot is a bit dry there, but I will take from the pot directly and you just need to dilute it. I clean my brush regularly and take some water, then some paint before I start coating. Really, don't overthink it, it's just a matter of thin coats. We will let that dry, and in the meantime, we will take this opportunity to undercut the textured base that it comes with. Sorry. So we'll use green and gray. Those are Prince August and model color, which is, I believe, the Luftwaffe uniform. Again, those are pre-assembled miniatures, which let us do the base without worrying too much. It's, again, very practical. I went a bit overboard with the blue, but it will do. I'll just have to come in with just a soaked brush, and it will do. That's done. I put some paint on the black of the base, but it's okay. I'll just come back in later to touch it up. Now that the base coats are done, I will immediately go on and paint the extremities with a darker blue to create a really small transition. This blue will go back to black, and it will give some volume to the mini. To do so, I will use dark blue. Really, any dark blue will do. There, I'll use the Regal blue from Games Workshop, which is quite a nice dark tone. So the challenge here is to get this dark blue on the end of the limbs of the miniatures. Every exterior part, if you may call them like that, needs to receive some paint. Otherwise, the effect won't be the same. I go quite high on the legs, and I'll just do the same thing on the other one. And it's a very much darker blue, as you can see. There's no real need to be careful there as well. You just want to keep your blue in your base blue in some of the recesses. It will create quite a pleasing effect. There we got something quite good, and just need to do the same on the other side. The interesting thing for us here is to have a nice base with some small transitions. They don't need to be that great to work, and our base coat is pretty much good here, as you can see. Now I'll go back with some black. So just first to clean up the base, even though I might even need to do it again later because I will touch the base. Then I'll put it on the edges because it's always nice when the edges are dark. I went a bit too hard, so I came back with an almost clean brush to push back the paint there, like so. It's nothing really complicated, but it does work when the paint is not dry. It lets you thin coats that were a bit too thick by removing the excess paint. It also helps create transition. We will give the paint some time to dry and we'll focus our attention on the central parts of the piece. Those parts will be highlighted with great contrast to have a good distinction on every part of the elemental. To do so, we'll come in directly with ivory, but you need to highly dilute it though. I will also discard some of the paint from the brush to get a very thin paint that will come on easily. With the side of the brush, I will come in on the small drops everywhere on the mini, but always on the central zones to have the maximum efficiency of the effect. Those droplets form a pattern that I highlight. I also highlight the face and every part I feel needs some interest to it. Some here and there, for example on the thigh, some on the torso as well. What's nice on those elementals is the lack of other colors. That lets us focus way more on the color we choose and take our time with it. So how can I continue further? There we can consider our work to be almost done. We will of course work on the back of the mini. It's a part I tend to forget because I paint this mini for example solely for painting, and most of the time it happens because you put the mini facing you and you just forgot about it, and it's not the part I work the most on. But there the back is sculpted, so it would be a shame to not work on it. So we'll just have to come with the ivory and to highlight it, and then we just need to use a neutral gray and some green as well as a dry brush on the base, and we will call it done. The green is a mix of two paints. It's not because of the color, it's just that I want to have a more covering layer and not have to come back with another one. We'll put a lot of light on the most exposed edges of the gray and then feather it in the dark parts to have some small transition. Nothing too complicated here. So now with the green, it's a prairie green, and the other color, as I said, is not very important. It's just for it to cover more. The other green, if you want to know, is army green, and I believe they are from Pro Color. you need to discard some of the brush on your tissue, which lets you get a nice paint for the dry brush. And that's it, your elemental is ready to join the battlefield.